Premier Boxing Champions is back. PBC, they're looking to get things moving a lot faster. Some different things went on. I want to take you guys through that in this video. Subscribe for the best in the business, and it's not even close. Big shout out to my guy, Alan Dawson, Beast. If you want great boxing news and credible boxing news, check out my man, Alan Dawson. The link will be in the description. Please check it out. WBN, World Boxing News. They have a brilliant article, and I'm just going to go over some of it. It's pretty lengthy. It's about a 10, 11-minute read. It says Al Haymon returns ahead of PBC schedule, right? And for the sake of my video, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I have read the whole thing. See, there's a lot of content creators that just rush out content. They're just hurrying to get content out and things like that. They don't bother to read. They don't bother to familiarize themselves. Either that or they don't care, right? Since my channel has started, I've made a pact with the fans to do the best job that I can, be accurate and reliable in my information, and only pull from trusted sources. Plus, I'm Ego Stradamus, so that goes without saying, the best in the business, and it's not even close. So I really strive to make sure the information is reliable. Instead of cranking out, 5 videos, and then 4 of them turn out to be cap, like when people were saying that Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis were fighting next, and it was a done deal. No bueno. So WBN broke the news. Tim Tszyu's expected return. I've already talked about that versus Muratayev. But they're talking about what has transpired this year, because a lot of people, let's be real, a lot of people have felt that PBC's rollout hasn't been like with Showtime. It's been a lot slower, right? And here's a direct quote. It says, I know fans and observers have been really anxious for the pace to pick up. I'm happy to say that's going to happen imminently, Steven Espinoza said ahead of Tank's fight with Frank Martin. He says, I think in the next couple of weeks, you'll start to see some announcements. And by the time we're looking at August, September, October, there'll be more of a regular cadence of events that are pay-per-view and also non-pay-per-view. I tried to preach patience with the boxing fans and observers to say Showtime wasn't built in a day. It took 37 years expecting that level of activity. Everyone's going to be pleased when we amp up the schedule of our events on Prime, Amazon Prime Video, right? Rumors have swirled. So it says sources close to Al Haymon told WBN at the start of the year that he had taken a step back from the boxing business because of a family emergency. One of those sources said in February, quote, all of Haymon's phones were turned off at the time, including his Cleveland cell phone, cellular. When all the phones went off, one source told WBN, I knew something was wrong. That same source said that without Al Haymon, PBC could struggle. Another PBC source admitted concerns earlier in the summer surrounding a haphazard rollout of one-off nature of events. The source said, quote, it is hard to get and gain any real momentum when it's one date at a time and we don't have and get a sense of continuity, right? So basically they said being new to Amazon and Amazon Prime, combined with the mere fact that Al Haymon had a personal issue, let's say a personal family emergency where he went off the grid. He's like, you have to understand, I respect it. Al Haymon's been in the business. Something came up. It's his business. We don't really know what that something was, but you got to respect it. And I respect a man who can step away from their job, their duty to do what's right. And, they don't feel right continuing business as usual until maybe their personal life happens. We've never seen this happen to him before, so I respect it. It's not like he's playing hooky. He has something come up. So basically that combined with being on a new platform like Amazon Prime, I think they had to get a couple things, like get the wheels churning. It feels like it's changing. The regularity of events on the horizon is improving. Frequency of scheduling and lead time looks like it's improving. Amazon Prime now gotten comfortable with the rhythm of announcing, promoting, and doing the technical back end at events. So there's some basic growing pains. The source said that Amazon broadcasts NFL. So basically what he's saying here, because I'm not going to read the whole thing, what he was saying there, my boy Alan Dawson, he was basically saying that NFL, you know your schedule in advance. You know what team is playing. You know if it's a away game, home game. So it's easier to put out that type of content. Boxing, it's the Wild Wild West. You got fighters who get injured, fighters who pop dirty with PEDs, fighters who they don't get medical clearance, like Cody Crowley in the Jaron Ennis fight, Errol Spence in the Pacquiao fight, detached retinas and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, you got to be prepared for anything in boxing. Pullouts, injury. I remember in 2020, we had the Rona. That was something brand new, and you had to see. It just changed the scope of the business. Multiple PBC sources have told WBN Al Haymon is firmly back in the mix at PBC and is shaping the near-term future of the business. He's back. That's what I said at the beginning. His involvement has definitely increased over time. A second source said that close to Haymon told he is much more involved now than he was at the first event in March. It's not a coincidence. The pace and regularity is going to be now increasing. So what is going on? October, Tim Tszyu title fight. Bakram, who just won a title. Bakram Murtazailov, right? And that's supposed to be on regular Amazon Prime. They're talking about Tank possibly returning November 2nd, to be determined. Errol Spence may fight Fundora, which we knew in December. And they're saying that on the same card or maybe the same month, Manny Pacquiao versus Mario Barrios could be on. That would be a monster if they fought on the same card, right? So basically, long story short, they're getting things back. Barrios versus Pacquiao is being considered for the schedule. They're just working out the kinks and getting their schedule back on track after some delay. Again, the delay is Amazon Prime being new, getting through the logistics and a new entity that you're working with. Plus Al Haymon had some kind of family emergency, created some, I guess, confusion or delays. But now Al Haymon is back. The boy is back. The bounce is back. So we should get some big fights. And I think what this shows, with PBC having a slower start to their year, it shows how much PBC is needed in the game. You had this fight with Crawford Madrimov, and they hyped it up, got Eminem, and it was bunk. Errol Spence versus Crawford was a far bigger event. I know Crawford said that, oh man, it feels bigger. It didn't feel bigger to me. I don't know what he talking about. It didn't feel bigger at all. And then I think a lot of the fights on that card didn't deliver. And they're not even running, the Riyadh season is not even operating like a true business, because a true business cares about getting out the red and, you know, the bottom line, making profit. And I've already put out content. They said they were upside down in that fight and they lost likely more than $10 million, which it's not surprising. Eminem charges the highest booking fee of all rappers. So booking Eminem alone to do a mini concert, you're going to have to reach in them pocketbooks. So I don't know whose ideal. And then the fans didn't even seem like they liked the performance. They're like, oh, I don't know this song and this is boring me. Why didn't they get Kendrick? Why didn't they get somebody else? So Turkey and Eddie Hearn and Riyadh season, they spent all this money for M. I like Eminem, but I'm going off the comments. When I was doing the watch party, people were saying I'm falling asleep and, you know, why are they playing this? And the event itself seems so long. So back to PBC, I think PBC having a slow start, it really makes you miss it. It's like the 48 laws of power. You have to increase demand in your absence. Like being absent, it really shows you like, dang, this boxing game look a lot different without PBC, you know, because Tank versus Frank Martin, that felt like a fight week. Tank was going like this, and then Frank Martin was flinching. The press conferences were fun. People tuned in to the weigh-ins to see David Benavidez and Voltstick and Tank and, of course, Frank Martin. Remember, I was making content like, oh, Frank Martin, he looked a bit drained. And everybody was talking about it after Boxing Ego. But then Crawford fought Madrimov. Y'all hyped it up and said it was a huge, colossal fight. And I barely even seen anyone talking on Fight Week about the fight. And then when it was talk, it was not necessarily positive talk. It was talk like, this is boring. You know, these two are just staring at each other. There's no real buildup. It don't feel like a fight week. Or responding to the lunacy Crawford said as far as the fight feels bigger than Errol Spence some kind of way. So it is what it is. Good to see PBC back in the mix. Check out Alan Dawson. He has a full write-up giving you the breakdown. I can't wait for them to start dropping some fights because this is needed. A lot of people, in closing, I'm going to say this. A lot of people, they keep saying Turkey's the savior and face of boxing. And Turkey did this and Turkey. And I've even seen fans, they say stuff, and content creators too. They're saying like Turkey, he's giving us the fights we want. What fight is that? I didn't want no Shakur Stevenson versus Cordova. Who asked for that? Let me know. And then Crawford Madrimov. I didn't really want, like, that wasn't my first choice, put it that way. The fight was all right, but that at 54, if Crawford could have just fought anybody, that wouldn't have been the first fight that I picked. You know? Fights with Jaron Ennis and Karen Part 2. Who's asking for these fights, right? They got a couple, like Usyk Fury I liked. See, I keep it real. Usyk Fury, had no problem with that. Better Be of Bevo, that's a great fight, undisputed. Not mad at Joshua Dubois. He's all right, but he's not real. You know what I mean? Like, there's some that are solid, they're cool. But people are like, oh, this is the best undercard I've ever seen. The events aren't playing out like that. I had more fun with Frank Martin and Tank than I did Crawford Madrimov. Let me know in the comment section, because y'all say, oh, Ego, you hating. So what was more fun for you to watch? If you paid for a pay-per-view and they were the same price, would you be happier with Frank Martin versus Gervonta Davis pay-per-view, that main event, or Crawford Madrimov? Let me know that in the comment section. Deuces.